Verbal or life. Um,
So, Donald Trump is having the best week ever in his presidency. This past week, man, the guy is doing great. How? The stock market is doing great, all right, highest ever. Secondly, the Supreme Court siding with him and everything that he wanted to get done and putting a stop to the judiciary or to the judges that are trying to stop him. So, doing great on that front and stopping wars all over the world. You know, Trump is just everywhere. It's crazy. By the way, my name is Noel here at Verbal on Life. Let's take a look at Sunday Morning Future with Maria Bartiromo, who gave Donald Trump an interview to talk about all the great things that he's doing now and that he's trying to do in the future to make the country even better. That's just crazy. Let's take a look at Sunday Morning Futures with Maria Bartiromo. Let's take a look. Now you know that Donald Trump has a heart for Maria. He doesn't really give them any interviews, but this is one of the people that he trusts, Maria Bartiromo, because you know that he's really the number one person to go up against fake news media. He does not trust them and he calls them out every single time. Maria Bartiromo is one of those people who are actually not fake news. She actually puts it down like it is, right? She doesn't twist her words or try to expand any idea, or she doesn't follow the narrative. Because that's the main thing, following the narrative. You have a bunch of reporters following this narrative of making Trump look evil, just talking bad about him when it is not the truth. You know, what he did with Iran, now they're trying to twist it, trying to say that he really didn't do much, but in fact, he did. He stopped the nuclear war. So that was crazy. So let's give the man some credit. Let's take a look. Let's listen up to see what they talked about here.
Getting his agenda across the finish line.
Oh yeah, by the way, the big beautiful bill that's going to get passed, and that's another Trump creation.
President, you were just coming off of one of the most consequential weeks anybody has ever seen, from striking Iran to going to NATO, to announcing two deals, and then the Supreme Court victory. Have you been able to digest what has occurred in the last 7 days?
Not really. It was pretty wild period of time, and I really think in 6 months we've taken the country and turned it around. It's I was told by the King of Saudi Arabia, by the leader of Qatar, and the leader of UAE when we
They even called him Daddy Trump. Yo, how crazy is that?
went over there. We brought back $5.1 trillion investment into the United States. They said, you know, you're presiding now over the hottest country in the world. And a year ago, we thought your country was dead. It could never come back. It was so incompetently run by a very bad president. And I said,
by the auto pen president, because we know Biden wasn't doing anything. It was an auto pen signing off on everything.
you're right. This country is hot. And that was a couple of months ago. You know, now we're talking about what we've done recently. So the country is really going. The numbers are great. I watch you in the mornings and you're giving those numbers and they're really good. No inflation. We have a bad Fed chairman, but other than that, we have, great. It doesn't even matter. The numbers are so good. It doesn't matter that he keeps the rates artificially high. But it's been an amazing period of time.
When you went to the Middle East and you strengthened those relationships with all of those countries you just mentioned, did you have an idea that you would have to do something with regard to Iran? Because you teased it a little. You said, look, they've got to come to the table and talk. Something's going to happen.
Well, it was getting a little bit hot, and we knew they had a lot of sites and probably.
And by the way, other presidents like Biden and Obama, all they did was give billions to Iran to try to cool them off. Like, yo, here's some money, just relax. All right, relax about this nuclear weapons talk. But not Trump. Trump took it to the next level and took down their bunkers.
The 3 plus the 1, but they had 3 main sites, and we knew they're going to have to either give them up. And I thought we could do it during negotiation, and we just about had it done. And then they said, we want enrichment. Enrichment doesn't mean like air conditioning, and it doesn't mean to jack up your car. Enrichment is a bad word. And they said, you got so much oil. What do you need that for? And they said, well, we need it. And I wouldn't let that happen. I think people wouldn't have understood it if I allowed that to happen. So we had a 60-day talk, and that delayed them a lot. And then we said, let's go at it. And it just worked out. And we wanted to work out also for Iran. They were beaten up, and so was Israel, in all fairness. They were both very tight. We call it the 12-day war. That was an intensive war. But the thing that I wanted to do, and I've said it on your show, if you look back 30 years ago or 25 years, we've been doing your show a long time and nobody like you. But you look back at the early interviews, I would say Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. They've wanted this for years, and they were weeks away from getting it. And those pilots went in there with those beautiful planes and the most sophisticated bombs anywhere in the world. Think of it, they can go 30 stories deep into granite. Who would think that's even possible? And they did obliterate it, it turned out. Then we had to suffer the fake news, where the fake news in CNN and the New York Times was saying, well, maybe it wasn't as good as Trump said. Maybe it wasn't totally obliterated, but it was destroyed, but not just horrible. And I could see it happening. And they tried to build that into a story. And then it turned out, no, it was obliterated like nobody's ever seen before. And that meant the end to their nuclear ambitions, at least for a period of time. And, a lot of people have said, well, do you think they're going to start again? I said, the last thing they want to do right now is think about nuclear. They have to put themselves back into condition and shape.
And they got to spend billions to rebuild another factory, to rebuild everything. It's going to take time and money. And then is it worth it when you got a president that's just going to nuke it? So think about that. You're going to rebuild something new to get it nuked again?
Tweeted, the Democrats leaked an intelligence.
They should be prosecuted.
Who specifically? Do we know who did it? Will you be able to find out?
They could find out. If they wanted, they could find out easily. You go up and tell the reporter, national security, who gave it. You have to do that. And I suspect we'll be doing things like that.
Well, those pilots were so courageous, and you want to honor them. Are you going to do something for them?
Yes, they're going to come to the White House. But what you said is right. These people flew 36 hours in a small space, a big plane, but a small space that was mostly occupied by bombs. And they flew so brilliantly, and they hit a target the size of this circle. The little target, they say, half the size of a refrigerator door, from 50,000 feet up in the air, going at a rapid speed, because they're going very fast when they're over a pretty rough territory. And they hit it every single time. And then they knocked out 2 other sites aside from that.
Do you think that the Iran regime hid some of the enriched uranium before the strikes?
No. You mean, did they take it out of the deep one? No.
Because you were pretty clear you can't have a weapon. You're going to have to come to the talk. Something's going to happen.
I don't think they did. No, I think, first of all, it's very hard to do. It's very dangerous to do. It's very heavy, very, very heavy. It's a very hard thing to do. Plus, we didn't give much notice because they didn't know we were coming until just, then. And nobody thought we'd go after that site because everybody said that site is impenetrable. You can't, you're not going to be this way. They did. It's at the bottom of a mountain. And it's granite. Granite's the hardest stone, and it's granite. So, no, they didn't. But I do believe they had people there because you had cars. They were saying cars. And those were masons. Those were people working with concrete. They were trying to seal up the entrance to where the bomb would most likely go in. And they did that. They were working on that, and the bomb went through it like it was butter, like it was absolute butter.
Because I saw reports that there were 400 kilograms, 800 pounds that they moved, but I wonder if it's true.
These are the billions of dollars that America invested to create these deadly bunker buses. So they better work. Finally get to use them.
Traceable. I mean, if they were to have moved,
they didn't move anything. They moved themselves. They were all trying to live. They didn't move anything. They didn't think it was going to be actually doable, what we did. And what we did was amazing. And we went, there were energy commissions that went there now. No, it's just thousands of tons of rock in that.
They better make a movie out of it. This is Hollywood level stories.
That room right now, the whole place was just destroyed. And the other 2 also. Now, Israel was able to do damage, but we did the final damage. And we have the greatest submarines in the world. We launched 30 rockets from submarines. Every single one of them hit their target.
How will you know if he tries to start things up again? Because Iran just said that they are halting cooperation with the UN nuclear watchdog.
The last thing they're going to be doing right now, for a period of time at least, is nuclear. They've had it. They've been trying it for 25 years. The last thing they're going to do is nuclear. We had to hit them, though. They were close to getting a nuclear bomb, absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, and look, I've heard from people inside Iran that the regime in Iran has executed more Iranian civilians in the past 48 hours than the number of Iranians who died in the 12-day war. So, I mean, you've got a regime that's been building ballistic missiles, building or trying to build a nuclear weapon. Why should we think that they're actually going to give up on this?
Well, they might not give up, but they're going to give up on it while they're exhausted. They are exhausted. They took hits like nobody's ever taken. And frankly, Israel is tied. They wanted to, it was the perfect time. We went in, we destroyed their nuclear capability, and we stopped. It was a beautiful thing. And they couldn't have gone on much further. And Israel was that was a very intense 12 days, very, very intense.
Has any other country suggested to you recently, as a result of this, that they want to join the Abraham Accords?
Yes. So we have some really great countries in there right now, and I think we're going to start loading them up because Iran was the primary problem. I actually thought Iran would. I actually thought we had a period of time where I thought Iran would join the Abraham Accords along with everybody else, and frankly, they would have been better off than where they are right now.
And what about the Abraham Accords? Would Syria enter?
Well, I don't know, but I did take off the sanctions at the request of some of the other countries in the area that are friends of ours. I took off the sanctions on Syria to give them a chance at, the sanctions are biting. They're very strong. And we have sanctions on Iran too. And, you take them off when I sort of gave the expression today, you get more sometimes with honey than you do with vinegar.
But you waived the sanctions on the oil with regard to China. So you're allowing China to still buy the oil from Iran.
No, I didn't say that. We have the sanctions on. And if they do a job and if they can be peaceful and if they can show us they're not going to do any more harm, I would take the sanctions off. And the sanctions would make a big difference, as you know. When I was, we had a great success in the first.
And it's nice because with Trump, you got to believe his words. He follows through with what he says. Everything he promises, he follows through. So this is crazy.
We're the greatest economy in the history of our country. By the way, it's going to be absolutely, this is better. This is going to be, I think, even much better. But we are the greatest economy in history. And we use sanctions. You use them very carefully.
No more political promises, because we know politicians like to lie and then switch up the narrative later on when their promises don't come true.
Sanctions cost us a lot of money. It's not just, gee, we're going to put sanctions on. When you do sanctions, it costs a lot of money. But I would, one of the things I was thinking about doing, you start waiving them for countries like if they behave themselves like Iran, where they can sell oil and they can do the things that you want to be able to do. The sanctions are very powerful and it makes it difficult. I'm not looking to make it difficult. I want them to have a good life, but they were trying to develop a bomb. And the reason you try and develop a bomb like that is to use it.
But I want to get your take on China, really, because you've announced an agreement with the Chinese Communist Party, where China will export the rare earth minerals.
Yeah.
That's another thing, because you had a lot of elites and people saying that because of the deal with with China, with the tariffs, that the prices were going to go up high and people were not going to be able to afford anything. But that's the elites talking, and they were proven wrong. He kept the tariff, and now look at China negotiating.
What does that mean in terms of this upcoming tariff structure? You've got a pause in terms of the more steep tariffs that ends August 12th. Are you going to extend that? Are you going to keep that in place or go back to a higher tariff on China?
China's going to be paying a lot of tariffs, but we have a big deficit. They understand that. I have a great relationship with President Xi. We have to do something about the deficit because we have a big trade deficit with China. Biden let it get up to $1 trillion. Think of it, $1 trillion deficit with one country. he let them just take them over the coals. We're not going to do that.
Crazy.
But we're doing a rare earth deal, but we're also doing, remember, we have all of the airplane parts. They can't fly their airplanes without us. So we had, some guards also. But it should have never gotten that way because we should have been doing they call it magnets. It's a rare earth, but they call it magnets, a specific type. And they're making those magnets for us right now, and things are well. And we have a deal with China. It's a good deal, I think, hopefully for everybody. We had a deal with China where it was 145% tariffs, and I will tell you, everything stopped in China. I saw that everything stopped, and we did China a favor. But we're getting along well with China. I think getting along well with China is a very good thing, but they are paying substantial tariffs.
Well, I noticed that.
Spoken like a true businessman. That's how you do business. We don't gotta be enemies. He doesn't hate China. China doesn't hate him. But we're doing business. All right. And let's be honest with one another.
Because it seems like you go so far with China, but you don't sort of use the leverage that you can use. I mean, look.
If I ever had to use it, I'd use it. But when there's no reason to use it, that's good too.
Well, we did just arrest 3 or 4 Chinese nationals who tried to bring a pathogen into the country that gets people sick and destroys food supply. We've got hacking.
You don't know where that came from, though. I mean, did that come from the country, or is that 3 wackos that happened to carry something? You just don't.
Well, there was one that he signed that he would be, one of them signed a paper saying that he would value Mao Zedong's value system. So there was that. And then they hack into our telecom system. They've been stealing intellectual property. They fentanyl, COVID. I mean,
I like the fact that Trump is not quick to jump on China. Just saying that these are some maniacs doing all of this themselves, and we haven't really pinpointed where they're coming from. Is it China or not? So let's first start with the individuals. These are psychos that just want to hurt the country.
all of this stuff. So how do you negotiate with obviously a bad actor and trust them on economics?
You don't think we do that to them? We do.
So
we do a lot of things.
That's the way the world works?
That's the way the world works. It's a nasty world.
And then you just do a trade deal?
Damn, man, that honesty is crazy. They're trying to take us down and we're trying to take them down. Wow. Trump just said some crazy shit on TV.
We do. Well, we made a lot of money with this trade deal. You know, I do a trade deal if it works. We made a lot of money with the trade deal.
You think that China is going to stop bullying companies to give them information in terms of in exchange for getting those rare earth minerals now?
The companies shouldn't put themselves in that position. You know, they really shouldn't. Now, I will say this: China right now needs those companies much more than they needed them 2 years ago. 2 years ago, China could do that. Today, they can't because they need those companies. They need Apple. They need all of, Apple's spending $600 billion, $700 billion in the United States building plants. They were never going to do that. Think of it, $700 billion. But a lot of the companies that are in China are now relocating back to the United States.
Bringing business back to the United States. The regular people are happy about this because we got workers that want to put in the work, that want to get paid to do all these fancy technology like iPhones and whatever Apple wants to do. We got people in this country that want to do it. So not only Apple is going to make money out of it, but the regular working people. I got kids growing up who love to get a job, a high-paying job with any of these technology companies.
So, yeah, China's going to treat them much better as they need them. They didn't need them under Biden because they were ripping us off left and right. They need them under Trump.
You just had a big success at NATO, getting the members to agree to spend more on defense. Is there anything you can do to get Congress to codify this, to get their governments to codify it?
You can. What you do, the best insurance is if they don't do it, you leave. You don't do business with them anymore. You don't do business. You have to have a certain trust, but you can also say trust but verify. But we're making unbelievable this.
There is litigation around the legality of those tariffs. Are you going to be able to get more trade deals done before you hear from the International Court of Appeals in August?
Sure, but we won the litigation and we had the delay and we had some radical left judge and then we had it overturned. And we're doing well in all of our litigation.
Nothing but wins. Something that should have never been available. Judges shouldn't be able to make nationwide rules. They should never be able to go against the president. So nothing but wins for Trump right now.
We're doing well on the tariff litigation. Look, if some judge said we can't do tariffs, we would fall prey to the rest of the world who would do tariffs and are doing tariffs on us. If we couldn't fight them back with tariffs, this country would be in terrible shape.
And in school, they teach you how the United States is smart for not having tariff, how actually tariffs are bad for the United States. But I love the fact that I think Trump and the other Treasury guys said, if tariffs are bad, then why do they have them? Why do all the other countries have tariffs? Think about that. How bad can they really be? We are the only suckers that don't have tariffs on anybody, but everybody got tariffs on us. So that was a great way to put it. In real practice, in theory, tariffs may be bad, but in practice, they're excellent. They're good.
Hey, we would be like this innocent lamb being led to slaughter. So, no, we're doing great on economics. We're doing great on tariffs. Tariffs is just a part of it. We're drilling like never before. That's how the oil got down low.
The Supreme Court victory that you got today, Friday, do you think that could apply to the tariff litigation that's pending here in terms of the legality of your tariffs? Does that affect that at all?
It could. But again, the tariff litigation, if you look at it, there are alternatives if we have to use them. They're not as good because they're not as direct. They're not as biting, but they're very good. So that you have alternatives. But we want to use this particular asset, this particular grouping, the words of this are so beautiful. They were meant for it. But what happens with the tariffs is that if a judge ruled against us, and this is part of how you win, fairness is also a part of the law. If a judge ruled against us on tariffs, we would fall prey to other countries destroying us. We can't do that. If they do tariffs on us, we do tariffs on them. If they charge us, we charge them. Then they never charge us.
Reciprocal tariff. They charge us, we charge them at the same rate. Because if they're bad for a country, then everybody should take them off. Just common sense, man. Finally, somebody using common sense.
Coming up next, President Trump's agenda soon to be executed with his big, beautiful bill expected on his desk by Independence Day this upcoming Friday. Stay with us for more of my exclusive with President Trump.
It's going to be an amazing July 4th that the man is celebrating win after win after win. And I'm going to see, like always, how the fake news media is going to spin it. Definitely, they're working magic, spinning everything. Just mental gymnastics.
The first interview since bombing Iran's nuclear ambitions. Back in a minute.
I want to move on to the big, beautiful bill. And you have asked to have this on your desk by July 4th. You think you're going to get it in that timing?
I don't know. I mean, I can't tell you that. I hate to say yes. I'd like to say yes, but the problem is if we're 2 days late or 5 days late, everybody says, oh, you had a tremendous failure. Whatever it is, as long as we have it. It's very important. If we don't have it, there's a 68% tax increase. If we don't have it, the debt ceiling extension is very important. They gave a debt ceiling, the Republicans gave a debt ceiling because of the importance of doing it. They did that for the good of the country, and Republicans voted for that. They did a big favor. I don't know that I would have done it, to be honest with you, but whatever. They did a favor. Now the Democrats won't do that favor back. In other words, you never want to violate your debt covenants. So they gave, you know what I'm saying, they gave this 4 months early. It was due on September 28th, right before the election. A group of Republicans got together and said, you know what, this is so serious. We should do this for the good of the country. I understand that. Now it's their turn to do it, and they won't do it. There are a lot of bad people in the Democrat Party.
How are you going to deal with the $9 trillion that's coming due this year?
Just turn it over. Oh, well, let me tell you that we're going to do it this way.
This man is a genius, man. He got everything on top of his mind. He's not looking at papers, not looking at teleprompter. He's just going topic after topic after topic, like a president should be on top of his game. This is what we need.
We're going to turn it over short term because we have a stupid person at the Fed. If he would lower the rates, but I don't want to have to pay for 10 years debt at a higher rate. And then when you get somebody into the Fed who's going to be able to lower the rates, we should be at 1% or 2%. If you look at Switzerland, they're the lowest right now. They're at much less than 1 point. And frankly, we should be there too, because Without the United States, the whole world doesn't work.
And you,
And it's crazy. He's calling that man stupid on television. So you can only imagine behind the scenes on just private phone calls how hard he's cursing him out. Like, my man, drop it. What are you doing? Keeping the percentage so high, the interest rate. It's crazy.
teased a couple of names. You said you have a couple of people in mind
I have
as a
three.
successor to Jay Powell.
They'll all be good, yeah.
But you're not going to do that right now. So why do that? Just to put more pressure on him to come in?
People that know, because reporters ask me, I mean, you have other names? I say, yeah, I do. Anybody but Powell.
And would it be Kevin Ford?
He's a bad person. Kevin is very talented, but I don't know if it's going to be him, but he's a very talented guy. He wouldn't be doing what Powell is.
Mr. President, I think I know your priorities in the big, beautiful bill. I mean, obviously, you want to get the tax cuts extended, and you've got other tax cuts.
Many other things, though, takes care of the border.
The border.
There's also no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security,
Yeah.
no tax on overtime.
But I've spoken to a few senators, and they've gotten together, like Rick Scott and Ron Johnson and Mike Lee. And, you know, Rick Scott's worried about the overall cost, and Mike Lee is worried about the Inflation Reduction Act. And, you know,
the Inflation Reduction Act is what caused a lot of problems.
so why don't you just take that out?
It was the Biden administration.
Why are there still green subsidies in that?
I'm all for that. I think we shouldn't be giving money to all of these scams. But what happened is some of them have been started, like projects. And if you stop it, it's in the middle. So I understand that too. And people work there, and they're, you know, working there, and they're from the district of a congressman or a senator. But no. The Inflation Reduction Act was another Biden scam. And when I say Biden, it's not Biden. It was the lunatics that work around the, you know, in the Oval Office.
It was the auto pen. Whoever was running the auto pen and signing everything, those are the guys in charge.
On the beautiful Resolute desk. It's not Biden, because I don't think Biden knew what was happening. I think that the auto pen is one of the biggest scandals in the history of this country, because the person that operated the auto pen was the president of the United States.
Yeah.
And I think that that's going to be sought out, and we're going to find out what happened.
Well, I believe it's this week. That's 1 year ago, which was the debate where his mental capacity was exposed to so many people who didn't know it. Many of us saw it, obviously, in advance. And now James Comer at the Oversight Committee wants lots of people to come in. Who would you like to see come in and testify on that? Under oath.
Jill Biden, his wife.
I would say Lisa, who was in there.
Is that the deputy AG at the time?
Yeah,
Lisa Monaco.
who's a big supporter of Andrew Weissman. These are people that I think are very bad people. They had radical left lunatics working there, and they took over that office. They didn't want Biden. And then after a little while, they realized he's incompetent. This is really a good thing. And they ran that.
And it's crazy that the extreme left were the ones that took over. All right. The one with their ideas and their ideals of opening the border, free everything. And they just worked very hard to destroy the country, not caring about nobody else.
That thing. Look, Biden was never for open borders. Biden was never for transgender for everybody. He was never for men playing in women's sports. He was never for that.
And if you think about it, if you have all this chaos, that means that there's more jobs to help solve those chaos. Like, they're never going to solve it, but they're just going to be working at it, making money, working on those things, on the woke agenda, on the millions of illegals coming in. So it's all a money operation, and that's how they make money. They said that this is the problem, which they created, so we need to hire more people for those problems. It's all a scam, man.
Biden is a disaster. This is a disaster. But the worst thing that he's done to us, inflation is terrible, but I've solved that problem already. Inflation is bad, and other things are bad, and many things are, and the fact that we have no respect all around the world for the country, but now we do I think maybe at the high, we took it from the lowest to the highest level in 6 months. But if you look at what he did to the border, is so bad. So much of my time is spent on the border. You know, last month we had no people coming up.
I know. Well, what you did.
But the bad part is he let in 21 million people. And we have to check those people. Totally unvetted, totally unchecked. And 11,888 have murdered people. Half of them have murdered more than one person. People come in from gangs, from prisons. They emptied out Venezuela, emptied out its prisons.
Have you been backing away from this, though? Because recently you said, let's ease up on, taking in people.
And I'm thinking, who are the evil people that allow this to happen? And in thinking about it, all I can think of is money. People making money are the ones pushing this forward, pushing the lie forward, right? This is guaranteeing work, all right? How to stop all these problems. Again, more job for the elite. And that's it. Pretending to be taking care of something that didn't even need to happen. Like there was no need to let all these illegal ins. So that's the only way I can see it. It's all about money and making money from the government.
People who are working, hard working, like in farms and hotels.
I don't back away. What I do have, I cherish our farmers. And when we go into a farm and we take away people that have been working there for 15 and 20 years who are good, who possibly came in incorrectly. And what we're going to do is we're going to do something for farmers where we can let the farmer sort of be in charge. The farmer knows he's not going to hire a murderer. But, when you go into a farm and he's had somebody working with him for 9 years doing this kind of work, which is hard work to do, and a lot of people aren't going to do it, and you end up destroying a farmer because you took all the people away, it's a problem. I'm on both sides of the thing. I'm the strongest immigration guy that there's ever been, but I'm also the strongest farmer guy that there's ever been. And that includes also hotels and, places where people work, a certain group of people work. So we're working on it right now. We're going to work it so that some kind of a temporary pass where people pay taxes, where the farmer can have a little control as opposed to you walk in and take everybody away. But no, the criminals are going out of this country.
Right. You said it from the beginning. You wanted to first focus on the criminal, but I'm wondering if this change in giving people a pass is a response to the critics who said the execution was a little clumsy. People were afraid to go to work. They were afraid to run into ICE. They said, look, if you give a quota to somebody and say, go get me 600 people who are here in the country illegally, we'll come back with 600 people, even if it's not the right 600.
So the execution was unbelievable because you have no people coming through our border anymore. Right.
What does that even mean? It's not the right 600. It's illegal people, undocumented. And let's stop saying undocumented. It's just illegal people.
Well, that's part of the execution. So it wasn't clumsy. What was clumsy is the fact that they allowed millions and millions of people to pour into our country. Take a look at some of the scenes. It's on your show all the time where thousands of people are trying to bust through a wall. They literally break down walls. There's so many people. And they're thousands of people, and they have no idea who those people are. This, to me, is the worst part of Biden. The worst thing he did was the whole thing on immigration. Now, with that being said, we know who they are, a lot of them. It's hard when they come in. They have no papers. They have no nothing. Just go ahead in. Everybody can come in. They were empty. I'm telling you, a lot of the Congo, we just made a deal with the Congo to stop the war. They would empty their prisons into the United States. Many other countries, not just South America, Africa, Asia, Europe, rough parts of Europe, their prisons were emptied into the United States, and the people, you saw the people, they run into the country. To me, that's a sin that we can never forget. We can never forget what Biden and that group of lunatics that work for him have done to our country.
I believe that half of the world's cobalt is in the Congo.
Yeah.
Are you going to be able to help develop that? Will the U.S. participate in developing that cobalt?
Yeah, they want me to. They actually want me to. The head, who is a very respected guy, look, I just stopped the war. This war was going on for 30 years. 6 million people were killed between Congo and Rwanda. And my people came to me and they say, they want you. They don't want China. They don't want Russia.
That's crazy. How come a Democratic president didn't do this? Congo versus Rwanda. They could have at least having a conversation with them, see what America can do to help. But no, they waited for Trump to come in. Insane.
So July 9th is coming up. What are you going to do about the end of the pause in the tariffs?
It's so simple. We're sending letters out. I'd rather do it now. My guys say I have great guys, Scott, Howard, other people, Jameson. They're talking to all these countries. We made a deal pretty much with India. We made a deal with China. We made a deal with UK, great people. We made deals. But I'd rather just send them a letter, a very fair letter saying, congratulations, we're going to allow you to trade in the United States of America. You're going to pay a 25% tariff or 20% or 40 or 50%. I would rather do that. So when I get,
We're not trying to extend the pause.
I don't think I'll need to because I could. There's no big deal. It's like TikTok. I'm extending that, but no big deal. We have a buyer for TikTok, by the way. I think I'll need probably China approval. And I think President Xi will probably do it.
Who's buying?
I'll tell you in about 2 weeks.
A big technology company there.
Very, very wealthy people. It's a group of very wealthy people. But what I want to do is, and what I will do just sometime prior to the 9th is we'll send a letter to all these countries. There's 200 countries. You can't talk to all of them, no matter how many people you have. You can't talk to all of them. We'll send a letter and we'll say we would consider it a great honor, and this is what you'll have to do to shop in the United States. We're like a department store to shop in the United States, and you'll pay a 25% tariff, and we wish you a lot of luck. And that's the end of the trade deal, because we have something that nobody has. But if I didn't get elected, I'm telling you, we wouldn't have had a country left. You know that better than anybody. Nobody covers it better than you. If I didn't turn this thing around, this big ship around, we turned it around just like those ships coming out of China. They were coming and loaded, and in the middle of the ocean, they were forced to go back because at 145% tariff, Walmart, nobody wanted their product. And that caused a big problem for China. And then I helped China.
So
by reducing it.
we still don't know. We don't have the clarity on what you're going to do with these expiration of these pauses. July 9th.
No, I think I
And
thought I
August
just
12th
said
with
it. No,
China.
I thought I just said it. You ready?
You're going to send the letters.
I'm going to send letters. That's the end of the trade deal.
He said, I just said it. You ready? Let me repeat myself. Man, cannot trick this man.
I could send one to Japan. Dear Mr. Japan, here's the story. You're going to pay a 25% tariff on your cars. So we give Japan no cars. They won't take our cars, right? And yet we take millions and millions of their cars into the United States. It's not fair. And I explained that to Japan, and they understand it. And we have a big deficit with Japan, and they understand that too. Now, we have oil. They could take a lot of oil. They could take a lot of other things. But basically, and I'm for doing it right now, we send letters out to all of the countries explaining to them, we'll look at the deficit we have or whatever it is with the country. We'll look at how a country treats us. Are they good? Are they not so good? Some countries, we don't care. We'll just send a high number out. But we're going to be sending letters out starting pretty soon. No, we don't have to meet. We understand. We have all the numbers. Listen, what we're going to do is we're going to send, and we're going to say, congratulations, we're allowing you to shop in the United States of America. You're going to pay a 25% tariff or a 35% or 50% or 10%.
I'll tell you what the U.S. automakers are worried about. They don't want Japan and Korea to have a lower tariff if you do a deal with them than the U.S. automakers are paying.
Well, the U.S. automakers are going to be so busy selling cars in the U.S., they're not going to even have to worry about it. But that won't happen because I set a tariff. Let's say I take a certain country and I set a tariff at 25 and they're charging 35 or 40. I'll raise the tariff to 35 or 40. And they'll come down.
I want to ask you about AI because there are a couple of companies that are announcing layoffs. They're actually cutting people. Some of these companies are blaming tariffs. Some of these companies are blaming a consumer slowdown, and other people are blaming AI. Okay, you've got Procter.
By the way, tariffs is what's bringing the companies in. We have auto companies building plants where they wouldn't have built here in 100 years. We have more investment in the United States right now than we've ever had before. Think of it. Yeah, we're up to almost $15 trillion. Look at this guy from last year. What kind of numbers they were to people leaving? They weren't coming in. Now they're coming in.
Like you said, you brought wealth back to America.
Wealth and spirit back. We have spirit. People respect our country again. It's very important. I'm a cheerleader also for the country, aside from everything else, like you are. We brought spirit back. We brought respect and dignity back. When I went to the European...
It's crazy that Trump says us, our country, our people. He uses words that I always thought politicians use. Instead of saying the union, no, he says our union, our workers. Genius level Trump.
You know, I was in that beautiful place with the king and the queen, and it was like beautiful. Everything's so nice. But when I went to the Netherlands and I looked, everybody was coming up, Mr. President, Mr. President. They didn't do that a year ago or 2 years ago or 3 years ago. These are the big countries. This is Germany and France and all of them. I mean, a big group of countries. They respect America again. They laughed at us. They thought we were a joke. You had a president that kept falling downstairs and falling on stages and couldn't find an entrance to, he makes a little speech that lasted for about a half a minute. And he looks around, he's looking for stairs. There's like 6 different stairs, and he can't figure out which stair. We were laughed at all over the world. More importantly than that, what they did to the country. What they did to the country with allowing 21 million people will never be forgotten. And I have to rectify that problem, and we've done it. And we're getting all the criminals out.
Mr. President, I just want to ask you about the job cuts from these companies. Some of them are blaming AI. And one CEO told me that AI, artificial intelligence, allows engineers to be at least 25% more productive. It's helpful in contract management. It's helpful in repetitive jobs. It's helpful in data. What can you do to offset the job cuts that will no doubt come as a result of AI efficiency?
One thing, very simple, bring more companies and more jobs. You know, the truth is we don't have enough people to take care of these jobs. So it's like perfect timing. We don't have enough people. You know, my biggest problem is they're coming in and they have to hire thousands and thousands of workers. This is perfect timing. We don't have enough people. If AI is so good, which I hear it is, and there's a lot of money being bet by very smart people, I'll tell you, we are dominating AI. That's the other thing.
It's going to be great to have jobs available, but like not minimum wage job. I'm talking about real good paying jobs that people are not going to be, what should we say, scared to take up or scared to do or just be cautious about it because they don't pay a lot. These are good paying jobs and perfect timing. We need this.
And they all said, well, we'd have a problem because of electricity. We don't make enough electricity. We would have to double our electric power. Can you believe that? And you know what I did? I had an idea. I said, when you build your plant, you're spending billions. You're going to become a utility, an electric utility. You're going to also build a utility. You're not going to take it from an old grid that's been here for 100 years. You're going to take it right from a new facility. And they actually looked at me. They said, you do that? Of course I would. It's a national emergency. I'm going to.
That's an excellent idea. They get to make their own electricity. So like that, they won't have to pay electricity because they're making it themselves. If anything, they could supply the community, the locals, and make money off of it. So it's a win-win situation. You get free energy for yourself, and you get to make money by giving people electricity. So I think government never allowed companies to do that. And the fact that Trump is doing that, man, is a win all around. And it only makes sense.
Approve everything, and you'll have your approval in 2 weeks. And Lee Zeldin is doing an amazing job, the environmental commissioner. I said, Lee, you got to approve this stuff fast. Make sure it's safe, make sure it's good, but you have to get it done fast. Because in China, you know how long it takes? 1 day. It's called President Xi. Boom, it's okay. Over here, we're going to have almost the same thing. We're getting fast approvals. And you can do nuclear because nuclear now is safe and good and inexpensive. But you can do oil and gas. You can do coal. And the reason we do coal is because, and I call it clean, beautiful coal. You can really do things with coal today that you couldn't have done. But the beautiful thing about the coal and the thing that I look at, you know who uses coal? China. 59 plants they're opening this year. Right. Coal. You know why? It's very powerful. It's very powerful. So we opened up coal. We were closing all our coal mines all over the country. And yet we still have a lot of coal. We use the generating plants of coal because it's the strongest. And we're doing coal. So we have everything, every form. I don't want windmills destroying our place. I don't want, these solar things where they go for miles and they cover up a half a mountain that are ugly as hell. And by the way, the panels are all made, and the windmills, they're all made in China. Okay?
Yo, Trump is a genius, man. He speaks with so much honesty and common sense. Like, that's the main thing that people got to say. there is no real argument to talk against Trump. So you got mainstream media just making stuff up or twisting his words to make it sound bad. But what this man is pointing out, man, just makes you think, how come we never did this? How come this wasn't implemented years ago? Why the hell were we shipping all jobs to the other side of the world, to other countries, right? Always helping. Big America, helper, 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 just helping others, but destroying this country. Ah, man, but I can't wait till Trump puts forward all these things. Next, also crimes in America. We got to work on that, man. I really want to hear Trump talk about that. The fact that Chicago has so many crimes, and no, not just Chicago, but cities all around America, big cities like New York. I grew up in Harlem, and Harlem has a high crime rate. Why? Chicago, why? Los Angeles, why? You know what? It's because you haven't focused on it. Focus on fixing these democratic cities. Because it's the Democrat that wants to keep all this chaos going, which means more job for them, for the elites, for the college graduates, for the intellectuals to say, I'm trying. Let me do this. It's going to help. And when it doesn't, they'll blame something else. Oh, de ven, siente aquí. Echa un chin para atrás. All right, I'm trying to get a co-host here to sit over here. My name is Noel. By the way, if you're still watching the video, give it a thumbs up. So like that, we could get this out to more and more people. That was Donald Trump being interviewed by Maria Bartiromo after having one of the best weeks he's had so far in his presidency, with nothing but wins. All right, calming down wars all over the world, like the one in the Congo and Rwanda, just putting a stop to that. And Iran nuking them, so like that they'll stop fighting with Israel, and still working on what is it? Russia against that other country, which I'm starting to hate. I don't even remember the name. Ukraine. He's still working on that, and it will happen in like maybe 2 weeks. Let me take a wild guess. In 2 weeks, he's going to calm that down, and then this is going to be peacemaker Trump. And let's see how the media twists it. And twist and turning, doing all the mental gymnastics. Hopefully more and more people are going to realize that it's all a hoax. We are the one being fooled by all these politicians. And then they got all the celebrities in Hollywood to work with them, to work with their narrative. Why? Because they were making money also. The few Hispanics and Blacks making the millions of dollars off of it, but destroying regular and middle class people. So again, all of that is getting exposed. Some people don't want to let go because it's hard to work with the truth. Nobody wants to think that they're being fooled, that they're being lied to. People want to rather live in a lie because it goes with whatever narrative they have in their mind, but it's not working with the truth. And the truth is, Trump is doing a lot of things that should have been done way back by other Democratic presidents. Think about that. Hola, ven acá, siéntate aquí. All right, she's thinking. My co-host is over there. She doesn't want to come and sit over here. But that means I got to go dolo. Like I said in another video, a lot of people want me to stop this show. They want to end it. A bunch of haters. And whenever you got haters, the best thing you could do, we could do, is keep pushing forward. That's it. That should be your ammunition that gives you energy to just keep pushing forward and never give up. All right? I think that's a lesson that people, I think, understand, but just doesn't want to give into it. And they just want to appease other people. All right? They want to go with the crowd and make the group happy instead of making themselves happy. You know, you can't sacrifice yourself to make the group cheer for you. So we're not going to see this here. We're not going to see that here. We're just going to speak the truth as it is, not as the group says it should be. Cannot follow the group. And the reality thing is that Donald Trump is a genius. He had a winning week, and calling Trump good or great is the worst thing you could do. That's the number one way of getting yourself canceled. I mean, I was a school teacher for 20 years in New York City. And man, I think I was the only one that said I was going to vote for Trump. But I had to whisper to a few people because everybody hated the fact that Trump was running for president. And we're talking about back in 2016. Toward the end of my career as a school teacher. But now that I'm not a school teacher, I don't have to worry about getting canceled or getting fired. That's one of the things. I achieve freedom to talk and to say whatever I want to say with no fear. Let people get mad. You know how many people got mad at me, upset? They just stopped dealing with me. I'm like, all right, don't come visit. See if I care. I get to live in my house. I got a pool in the backyard. And this is what you call retirement. Retired, not rich, but free. Free to do whatever I want to do. I mean, biggest mistake I made was getting married a second time. And now she's trying to take my Tesla car. So leave it up to the lawyers to try to fight and get my car back. Man, marriage is the worst thing ever created by the government. Look at that. Another government plot, another government problem. I think people should have wedding ceremonies, but not wedding legal documents, not signing legal documents, having to bind to adults, to human beings. That's it. People should have the ceremony like Bezos right now. He's having like a big 3-day wedding with his wife, some Spanish chick that hit the lotto. Because marrying a billionaire like Bezos, that's hitting the lotto. That takes care of you, your whole family, generational wealth. That's it. Money's not even part of the conversation. It is there no matter what. So women could hit the lotto that way. Men got to work hard, and that's it. Take care of themselves. And the number one way to take care of yourself is not to follow the crowd. And that's it. Speak with facts, what you see there. Don't lie to yourself saying, don't lie to yourself ignoring the truth just to make other people happy, just to make the crowd happy. With that said, I lost a lot of family members, but it's like, my man, this is the truth of things. And you want me to lie to myself and say that I'm doing good, going broke, making you happy and me unhappy? Doesn't work that way. But let me see. I almost were able to do a whole hour here on this show. All right, so I couldn't get my co-host to sit here, which is all good. I'm going to try again to get her over here to sit with me. Let me see if I can move the camera. Hey, there goes my co-host. There you go. That's what I'm talking about. Not quitting and just trying. Ain't nothing wrong with somebody not wanting to be in front of a camera. This is one of the most difficult jobs because you got to be honest with the audience, period. So comment down below. Give this video a like if you're still watching. My name is Noel, here battling MS, still happy and successful. Happy that I could still walk and talk and share my ideas and thoughts with you guys. She sounds bored. All right. This whole video was Sunday morning, giving Trump his props for the great accomplishments he had this week. And I'm not going to hold my tongue. And I'm going to say, yo, that man is a genius. He did a lot for us. We needed a businessman to turn into a politician and just take care of things for us, take care of things for America. But maybe I'm just talking. Let me know what you think. What's your lie? What are your facts? All right. Let me go in. What time is it? Oh man, it's only 12:24. It's early. I bought some food from Walmart. Hopefully it'll get here by 2. How is this thing doing? All right. I couldn't get my co-host on the show. But it is what it is. With that said, see you on the next video. Peace.